Coming up on Tech News Today, I'm live from the Skype truck in San Diego, California. We're going to talk about how much Digg really sold for. Are people into buying games anymore or not? And what's Samsung doing ripping off Apple's store now? All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, the 13th, 2012 of July. Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford, featuring My Ford mobile smartphone app for electric vehicles. The My Ford mobile app makes the electric driving experience fun and efficient. Learn more about Ford electric vehicle technologies at Ford.com/technology. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your iPhone, iPad, MacBook, or Android smartphones from your home or office. Find out what your gadget is worth at Gazelle.com. Welcome to Tech News Today in San Diego, California at the Skype truck. I'm Tom Merritt.
From Petaluma, California at the regular old TNT set, I'm Sarah Lane.
From across Sarah Lane, I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
From /bin/bash, I'm Darren Kitchen.
You always are. You're a /bash.
Oh, and then there's me. I'm Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Hi.
You're at the center. You're at the center of it all. What are you talking about?
That's right, the epicenter. I'm controlling all of these buttons and trying to keep the show afloat.
So one of these days I'll actually get to Comic-Con. I've been here for a day. I haven't actually made it down to the convention center yet. But the kind folks at Skype have allowed me to camp in a corner here. They have this lovely Airstream trailer parked at Comic-Con.
And apparently thousands of T-shirts.
Yeah, there's a lot of T-shirts. If you're in San Diego, swing by. I think you can talk to an alien over Skype. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. But let's start off with the top 10 stories of the day. Last bits of Digg were sold yesterday evening. You may recall most of Digg was already sold to the Washington Post for what TechCrunch's Alexia Tsotsis reports was around $12 million. She also has word that LinkedIn had picked up some patents from Digg previously for a few $1 million. And you're saying, now wait, I saw all the headlines. They say Digg sold for $500,000, and that's what I paid for my condo, and I was making fun of them. Well, no, that's what BetaWorks paid for the remaining assets, including things like the domain name, the code, data, and all the traffic. So the total is more around $16 million.
Is Microsoft killing its full retail version of Windows 8? At least selling it. If you believe our very own Windows Weekly host, Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, and we do, Microsoft will instead offer a simplified upgrade and system builder options for home users. In the past, Microsoft sold both upgrade, full, and even OEM system builders copies for its Windows software at retailers. So welcome to the future.
I like the future.
I do too.
LG agreed to pay $380 million to settle a price-fixing lawsuit. A total of 10 companies were accused of rigging LCD prices, and all have settled. The total settlement proceeds would be over $1 billion. The deal must be approved by a U.S. district judge before all of this is over.
It's a hackapalooza. After noticing attacks, NVIDIA shut down its developer zone forums. NVIDIA told The Verge 3 sites were affected, which impacted over 390,000 accounts. FormSpring also disabled all 28 million user accounts after being notified that 420,000 password hashes seemingly belonging to its users had been published on a security forum. And as many as 35,000 plaintext passcodes were published on CodePaste after Billabong.com was hacked. And Android site Fandroid.com joined the party after announcing the hack of their forums, revealing 1 million password hashes and email addresses.
No!
The upside of all this, it's getting everybody to change their passwords, right?
Yes.
Use LastPass. Or
Silver lining. It's a
password.
2OS race, folks, in the smartphone market in the United States. New Nielsen numbers for market share show Android increased from 51.8% of the market to 54.6%, and Apple's iOS rose as well from 34.3% to 36.3%. All other OSs declined. BlackBerry fell to 8.1%. And if you want to pull something positive for the other OSs, though, Microsoft Windows Phone dropped the least, going from 5.8% only down to 4.3%.
We lost the least.
Yay.
An Icelandic court has ruled Icelandic payment company Velotor has to reopen the merchant services account for WikiLeaks' Icelandic web host. Velator processed donations to the organization for a short time in June 2011. Now, if the ruling stands, it could jumpstart the worldwide cash flow to WikiLeaks, which has been under a financial blockade for over a year now. Now, Velator has 14 days to comply or faces hefty daily fines, although the company says they will appeal.
USA Today reports that Microsoft will announce Office 15's features on Monday, July 16th. However, the suite won't be available until early next year. So far, it's not known what versions of Windows will support Office 15. Charles King, an analyst, says he thinks that it'll run only on Windows 7 and higher.
That seems likely, yeah.
Apple's in-app purchases process has been circumvented by Russian hackers. In a video post, developer ZonD80 outlined the method for bypassing payment. The process involves installing a CA certificate and intacAppStore.com certificate and a DNS change. This man-in-the-middle method affects all in-app purchases on iOS 3.0 through 6.0. Though not all applications are vulnerable, developers who actually validate the receipts for in-app purchases are safe for now.
Hey, if you're wondering what's up with Larry Page and the whole talking thing, Reuters reports Eric Schmidt told reporters at the Sun Valley conference that Larry Page is recovering from an illness that left him unable to speak, and he was in the office Monday taking meetings. Schmidt said Page is talking, but talking softly. I like to think he's also carrying a big stick.
That'd be kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a startup? If
No.
you do have, Tom, I'm not asking you specifically. I'm
sorry.
asking all the startup people out there. How about a business plan? Okay. If you have a business plan, do you have a working prototype of your product? Okay. Would you say that prototype has momentum? If you answered yes to all of the above, then you may be eligible for inclusion in Microsoft's new Bing Fund. It's a new angel fund that will make precious Microsoft resources, like all their money, available to startups and give Microsoft a better chance at valuable acquisition targets down the road.
All right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor for today's show, Ford, and the My Ford mobile smartphone app for electric vehicles. If you're driving around, maybe you're driving down to Comic-Con or something, you want to know, hey, am I all charged up? What's the best time to charge? What's the route? Take advantage of the My Ford mobile app. You can use value charging, powered by Microsoft, based on your local utility's participation. It allows your customers afford to take advantage of off-peak rates. Get those reduced rates from utility. Know when you should charge so you're not paying more than you need to, and you don't have to go through some complicated setup process. You just do it right from the app. Also, preconditions the vehicle. I love this. So that it's not too hot, it's not too cold. The condition is perfect when you get in the car, and you don't waste a lot of time running the car for too long, running the air conditioner too much, all that stuff. You can also monitor your charging, get alerts. There's some gamification. If you're like, I want to use the least CO2 of everyone on my block, they have that as well. Monitor how far you drive, how much CO2 you save by not using gas. The My Ford mobile app makes the electric driving experience fun and efficient. 2012 Ford Focus Electric is available for purchase right now. Learn more about Ford electric vehicle technologies at ford.com/technology. And I saw some Ford Focus Electrics touring around here in San Diego. So if you're down here at Comic-Con, you might keep an eye out. I think they've got some demos going on here or something. But we thank Ford for their support of Tech News Today. Let's kick off the discussion with that Windows 8 release, or not released, but rumor from Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley on Windows Weekly yesterday. You should definitely check that out if you're interested in this story. twit.tv/WW. Mary Jo and Paul join Leo Laporte every week to talk about Windows. It's great stuff. You're going to get a choice between Upgrade System and System Builder. That's what they said. No more full boxed edition. Apparently, they won't need to bundle that USB dongle anymore with the OEM. That was sort of the trick for a while. Actually, I think the last OEM version of Windows I bought was Windows Vista, and I don't remember a dongle. Maybe they wait one over it when I bought it, but I think they just lied to Microsoft.
Are you sure that Microsoft's not just doing like a solid for the retailers and just kind of bundling a box copy of Windows with all of those PS2 mouses or mice that they have laying around,
Out the warehouse.
That might be.
The idea used to be that you could only buy the OEM if you were a manufacturer building something, so it had to be sold with hardware, which is why you saw those weird packages in the past. They're getting rid of that. They're saying there's no full version, which means there's no version that comes with 90 days support anymore. The key question is, who is this good for? I mean, so I can go into a store now and I can buy a System Builder version, which is just like the OEM version, without having to pretend or do anything. But I also can't get support. But I guess if I'm a basic user, I'm just going to buy a computer and use the operating system on it. I'm not going to install unless I'm going to build it myself. So what do we think? Darren, we'll start with you. Who's this good for? Who's this bad for?
Well, it's an interesting change in the era of like idea of like purchasing box software that comes with a nice big manual and the telephone support and all that stuff. But you're right. You absolutely made a point that there's a delineation in the two different kinds of users. The users that might actually be in need of that support are the ones that are just going to buy a computer that comes with Windows anyway, and the system builders who never needed it or know how to fix their own problems are going to just go ahead and continue buying the OEM one anyway. So, I mean, it's just going to save Microsoft from having to recycle a whole bunch of retail copies that we're never selling.
This is great for Microsoft in general because the price of the system builder version is just way cheaper. If you look at the retail price of Windows 7 Ultimate, it's like $320. Nobody buys that. I mean, they buy the system builder version because it's cheaper, and they don't worry necessarily about the support. But the thing is, that means more people will be using Windows 8 because you see that low price tag on it, and the upgrade price is $40. And if you can get a full version for somewhere around $100, that's pretty aggressive to the point where you go, I don't really know if I'm that interested in Windows 8, but at that price, I might be.
Also, if the whole idea of having it come with a bundle that's got a manual, and you've got a CD-ROM that'll walk you through some stuff. I just recently, bought a big stereo receiver, and it came with this big manual, and it's like, I haven't even opened that. That's the last thing I want to do. I just look for questions online. When I have a specific question, somebody's already written about it. I find that I get most of my information that way. I know for not everybody is going to feel comfortable in that scenario, but I think Microsoft knows that that's the way people are heading anyway as far as searching and answering.
Right, but what you say about that like big manual that came with your stereo is the physical manifestation of potential knowledge. And I think that's like an old paradigm of like, hey, I've got this, I could potentially know all of these wonderful things about the stereo if I ever was that bored on a rainy Saturday to read this. And you're right, with Microsoft gets it. Their customers don't need that. Maybe their customers that buy in retail are just system builders anyway, so you just go ahead and deliver that to them. I'm wondering if Microsoft is just going to go ahead and like directly from their store, their web store, just sell it that way. And cool.
The System Builder Edition is the clean install version. So Virgil was asking this in the chat room. You can use it just like the full version. It just doesn't come with the free support. And frankly, Microsoft probably doesn't want to support those users. They want Dell and HP to support those users. So I don't know that Microsoft loses anything. In fact, I think they gain stuff. I think it's a good move for people to be like, thank goodness I don't have to do this dance and I don't have to go search out an OEM version. I can just go buy the System Builder version and that's it. And maybe get it for cheaper. And
that $40 Windows 8 Pro upgrade box looks really good next to the old Mandrake box at the bookstore, I like the Debian box better, but I'm a sucker for an old school OS. Let's move on to those Nielsen numbers we were mentioning in the news fuse. We kind of went through the top line on this, but Iyaz, what does it all mean?
All right, so what do we got? We got there's a couple of studies out of Nielsen. So we talked about Android having 51.8% of the market in the U.S., Apple iOS with 34.3%. But another study was about smartphones making up almost 55% of the U.S. markets as of June. Now, the Microsoft number, by the way, wasn't just Windows Phone. It was combined Windows Mobile and Windows Phone. So they went from.
Notice I very carefully said Microsoft, not Windows Phone, in that news feed.
Poor Microsoft. Apparently Windows Mobile still doing better than Windows Phone, I think, which is sad because Windows Mobile isn't even supported by Microsoft. And then there was another study from Baird Equity Research Surveys talking to developers and said, how excited are you for long-term outlooks on certain operating systems on a scale of 1 to 10? iOS, the developers were like 9.3. They were super excited. Android, 8.7. Now, here's the deal, right? If Android has over 50% of the market, and it's growing still, and the other makers, other operating systems are losing market share, why aren't the developers all starry-eyed for Android first? Why aren't they just
it's not that they're not. I mean, 8.7 is not 1.7, right? True. And I think that a lot of that has to do with just the iOS ecosystem, especially as far as apps go, is just more established. So it's a safe bet. If you're going to ask a developer, okay, what's the best one if I've got to choose? I think that you're still going to get the largest numbers from iOS, but Android is catching up.
And you also have to consider that, iOS had developers for longer, and that also, as far as the developer is concerned, when you look at the numbers, it's not only just like, oh, how many Apple phones versus how many Android phones. You have to consider how many of those Android phones are shipping with Jelly Bean, shipping with Ice Cream Sandwich, still shipping with Eclair, and that's really what a developer cares about.
You just bought an Eclair device for anybody
I
out
love
there
my
like
Eclair
who
device.
buys Eclair. You just bought one. It's a nice cheap operating system for small phones.
When you
This
can-
is
Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say I think this is really the point is 8.7 versus 9.3 isn't that big of a spread. I think Sarah's absolutely right. What this shows is that iOS has been available for developers longer than Android, but these are the two dominant operating systems in market share. These are the two operating systems that people are going to develop for, and I think it's neck and neck. This is no longer, Android has got a bigger market share, but no single manufacturer is bigger than Apple. So you can spin it either way. If you're a fanboy of either one, you can claim victory if that's what you're interested in. But I think it's great for consumers because we have two strong competitors. What I would like to see is a third strong competitor. I would like to see either BlackBerry turn it around or Microsoft turn it around and start putting some pressure on from behind. I always feel like you need that third one, even if it's a little farther back in the pack, to put pressure on the leaders. But at least we got two.
And don't forget about Symbian with their 0.9%. I mean, they could just be, lying dormant and then, crush it next year.
You just never know. Or Tizen.
Well, there's
come
like
out of nowhere.
40% of people are still using feature phones. Should some of these smartphone operating system makers, should they be going for that market? I mean, because if the 55% is already there, why not go, hey, look, we can like if a Microsoft has Tango, it can run on lower powered hardware. Is that the market they should be gunning for and not go for the high end? Because the smartphone thing, it looks like these are the two guys that are in charge. You have Google and Apple. So what should happen?
Seems like the ripe fruit. That's what everybody says. If you want to get quick growth, go after that developing market where they're going for the cheaper smartphones, the higher end feature phones. That Microsoft is definitely targeting that. RIM should be targeting that. They are. It's hard to tell what their strategy is. Nokia is definitely targeting that. That's a big part of Microsoft's strategy. Even Android, a lot of Android makers are targeting that, and they have the flexibility of operating system to do that. Apple's strategy there is sort of, well, we've got a $99 version of the phone. We have a free on contract version of the phone. That's going to be our strategy. They're not that interested in that market. It's sort of a rear guard action, it seems like. Let's move on to this Digg story. Digg, the headline is $500,000, as we mentioned in the news for you, Sarah. So let's dig a little deeper into this.
Good one. Yeah, there's a lot of Schadenfreude going on in the Valley right now. For anybody who's not familiar with that term, it's the idea that when a bad thing happens to somebody else, you feel really good about it. And that's sort of been going on with Digg for a while now, as they've seen their numbers decline and really, I mean, half and then half again, I think, in the last couple of years since a high in 2008 or so. TechCrunch is trying to put the numbers into a little bit more perspective, saying, yes, $500,000 was an acquisition from BetaWorks. That really did happen, but it's sort of the latest acquisition in a gradual picking out pieces of Digg to be sold off to a variety of different companies. BetaWorks happens to own News.me, and in one of the blog posts that came actually from the company, they explain, we're turning Digg back into a startup, they say. Low budget, small team, fast cycles. We've spent the last 18 months building News.me as a first-class social news experience. The News.me team will take Digg back to its essence. Best place to find, read, and share the stories the internet is talking about right now. So, yeah, I don't know. Best of luck to BetaWorks. They're certainly not buying Digg and then just kind of liquidating the whole thing. They're trying to put a spin on some of the properties that they already have with the help from Digg. But this is sort of a long story. Back in, I guess it was May, 15 engineers from Digg went to Social Code, which is a subsidiary of the Washington Post. We had talked about that, which was, I think, about 25% of everyone who was left at Digg. And TechCrunch is reporting something that we hadn't heard before, that LinkedIn reportedly paid between about 3.7 and 4 million for about 15 different Digg patents, including a very important one, the patent to click on a button to vote up a story. That's something that we all remember. Digg was a real pioneer of that sort of thing, and it's been incorporated to a lot of social networking behavior since then. BetaWorks, for the most part, if you believe how this all broke down, picked up what was really left. Doesn't sound like anybody from Digg is going to BetaWorks.
Well, there's a lot more left. I mean, there's the $12 million for the team. There's the $4 million for the patents, $500,000 for the code. But who's going to pay for those comments?
Ha ha.
I mean, I got a nickel at least.
Well, I think it's an interesting story that we've got $42 million sunk into this company, and it sells for, depending on how you calculate it, somewhere south of $20 million. So what happened with Digg? And it does end up seeming to get chopped up and sold up in pieces. Digg was it. It was the darling. Reddit was sort of the up and comer. Reddit's still going. We have lots of similar types of like buttons and plus buttons all over the place. Why did Digg not execute on what it started? It's certainly not the first company to face this. You know, there's all kinds of Friendsters and other things out there, Napster, but it's different in every case. What do you think happened with Digg?
Well, I think there's an ebb and flow. Digg has been around for 8 years? I mean, if you count when Kevin Rose first started working on it before he had even left the television world to today. And yeah, a lot of companies last not even half as long, but it also has to do with the fact that Digg was truly a pioneer as far as social networking goes. I mean, you can really count it as the big guy in the Web 2.0 space back in the day. However, you can also say that Digg made some pretty grave errors. One is changing things without listening to their users. They had a huge user base. Now, they didn't always just say, screw the users, we know best, but there are specific instances where users were upset, be it site redesign or I don't know, different directions that Digg were going in that allowed sites like Reddit, which when Reddit first came out, I was like, oh, Digg competitor, how? It's like the lamer version of Digg. But Reddit, from the very beginning, didn't do the same stuff Digg did. And I think that they let Digg make mistakes so that they didn't have to make them on their own. And now Reddit is a thriving community, and Digg is seeing rapid decline.
So you're talking about a community site that has a huge number of users and them making changes without consulting their users and those users getting upset. And so when you say that, I also think about like Facebook, and yet it has that kind of staying power. So why do you think, Digg loses when that happens and like say Facebook doesn't?
That's a good question. I think inherently, Facebook is just it's an all-encompassing model that can work for the majority of people on the planet, right? You want to see pictures of your friends? You can have a Facebook account. You don't have to do anything else. Digg is a lot more about I'm either submitting stories, I'm voting stories up and down, so I'm being proactive about it, or at least I'm reading stories that I think are interesting to me, or as voted on by my community. So I think Digg was more specific, whereas now social networks perhaps are more broad if they're going to be the kind of social networks that are going to stay around for a decade or more.
Yeah, one of the things about Digg, I remember when people were complaining, the community was complaining because they were always the same users always on top. It seemed like this was being gamed, and that wasn't really being addressed in any way that made the community happy, it looked like. But for something like Facebook, I mean, I don't think anyone's gaming Facebook necessarily.
Well,
but
people are gaming Facebook, but
I guess
just not noticing
on the same level.
Yeah, but because of that, it made like people that really loved it at the beginning, and they go, well, I'm not going to submit anymore because anything I put up there is not going to be seen. It's only these 6 or 7 people that are going to be up on top there, and because of that game, that made a lot of people just get sour on it. Plus, they had that Digg bar, which I think annoyed a lot of people. And the second you put an iframe on anything, it seems to tick off everybody. That seems to be the lesson to be learned.
That's been true since 1999 and long before. I can tell you from personal
I don't know, man.
experience.
Iframes with vulnerable PDFs, they just music to my ears.
Yeah, that's a honeypot to Darren. Let's take a quick break. Thank our sponsor, Gazelle. You want the latest iPhone, iPad, MacBook, Android smartphone? You're going to have to pay for it. How are you going to pay for that upgrade? Great time to sell your used smartphone or Apple products to Gazelle. They pay you money. They make it simple. All you do is you go to gazelle.com. It's spelled GAZELLE.com. You describe the device that you're going to sell. They'll give you a quote that you can lock in for 30 days, risk-free. So you can decide, but you want to lock in that quote now because gadgets lose value over time. So go to gazelle.com, type in a gadget you're thinking about selling, see how much they'll give you for it. And here's the thing: is they make it so simple. You just take the device, you print out the shipping label, and then you put the shipping label on the box. You send the device to them. They send you money. They send you money in several different ways. You can get it as an Amazon gift card, which gives you a 5% bonus. You can get it by a check, or you can just have it sent to your PayPal address, and you get paid in cash. Gazelle sends you payments fast within a few days. Offers are good for 30 days, so go lock in yours now. They paid almost $50 million to over 300,000 customers over this past little while. So it's really simple. It's really easy. Free shipping. Most items even qualify for a free box if you don't have a box to put your gadget in. Go check them out, gazelle.com. I've made a nice little pile of cash without even trying hardly by using Gazelle this summer. So show your support for Tech News Today. Let them know that you heard about it here and get some money in your pocket. It's a win-win for everyone. We thank Gazelle for their support of Tech News Today. Netflix is becoming a TV network in a way. Is that right?
Well, okay. Yeah. So Netflix is definitely getting into the original content business. We've talked about this with mixed results. We can think back to Lilyhammer, which debuted back in February, which is Netflix's first foray into this is something that you're going to get on Netflix. We're going to release all episodes in the first season at once. Let's see how it does. According to data that was released by Nielsen today about Netflix specifically, users who were most likely to stream movies, so movies as opposed to TV shows, dropped 6% from last year, while those preferring to stream TV rose by 8%. So you might say, okay, that means that more people watch television than movies on Netflix. Well, not really. People still like to watch movies on Netflix. 47% users currently are streaming movies, and we're talking about streaming. 19% are streaming TV. So it's more of a, hey, the TV watchers are rising, and the movie watchers seem to be declining even just a little bit. Record month for Netflix, of course, that was announced last week. Watch Instantly service had more than 1 billion hours streamed in just 1 month. The record before that was quite a bit less, so it was a nice what do you call it when they get to the top of a hill?
Apex?
Yes, it was a nice apex
summit.
for the company. Still a little bit early in the morning for me on a Friday. But when I look at all of these numbers, I think, okay, well, if I want to watch Friday Night Lights, available on Netflix, that's something that I did a few months ago. I mean, that's many, many hours of television, where if I want to watch a movie on Netflix, that's 2, let's say, or maybe even less. And of course, we all know, even if you're a happy Netflix subscriber, that the streaming titles are very lacking. There are some streaming movies on Netflix that I think are good movies, but I mean it's a small percentage of their entire collection, and you're not going to get people watching every single movie just because it's part of their monthly subscription.
But do I mind? I'm enjoying just using that to go watch a bunch of television shows. I know that the movie selection has been getting smaller, but I don't really even notice it when I use Netflix because I guess I've just changed my behavior, and that's what I use it for, is to find old TV shows and hopefully some originals in the future.
But I also think, and maybe it's just me, but it's like, I think that we also convince ourselves, like, hey, I'm paying this money. I might as well just watch this show. There's 3 seasons. I mean, it's not awesome, but there's 15 episodes rather than just
The
a
buffet
movie.
approach. I'm here. I might as well eat it. I don't care how good it is.
I mean, I was sick of Friday Night Lights after 2 seasons, and I watched the whole thing because it's there.
You know, I think a lot of it actually has to do with the Netflix redesign, because the way that things are the spotlight is on the newest stuff, and you see TV episodes, and they have that little tag that says new episodes. And even if I don't like a program, I will click it because I'm like, oh, it's new. They added something, because I think I've seen everything great that they have, and we're paying attention to the content deals they get. When they lost Stars, this year? 2011, they had a lot more, I guess, higher quality movies from Stars. They don't have that now. So that redesign, you're kind of limited to what you're seeing because they've kind of hidden a lot of the stuff. I think that's part of the reason why, and the buffet concept, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are watching so much TV.
I have 3 thoughts on this. Basically, the increase in subscribers between last year and this year when the study is done, would that, was there anything published that said like, oh, and we got X amount of new subscribers? And if so, maybe it's that new subscribers are more interested in television. The other thing is mobile. I know a couple of use cases where it just doesn't make sense to like start a movie. But if you are keeping up with the tutors on BART or your public transit, it just kind of makes sense to digest that content in that way. And then the other thing that I was thinking is, at least for me, I know that I don't think about Netflix first when I think movies. I think, hey, Netflix has a lot of movies, except never the one that I'm looking for, and so I end up going to like, Apple to rent it or Amazon to rent it, and just like, whatever, I don't mind. I'm just going to pay for it because I know it's going to be there. Do
you even bother searching Netflix to see if it's there first?
I do go to that website. I think it's, is it on instant.com? Brilliant. And
which says a little something about Netflix's design, doesn't it?
I think it really speaks volumes.
All right. What we're talking about here is changing behaviors and using different ways of entertaining yourself, and that's affecting the video game industry as well. NPD numbers are out for June video game sales. Mostly bad news, but it depends on how you look at it. Video game sales fell 29%. from 989.5 million to 699.8 million. With digital downloads added, however, consumers spent 1.36 billion on games in June. So what's happening is we're not playing any fewer games. We're just playing them in different places. Physical sales of games, the discs, fell 29%. Also, hardware, accessories up 4%. Mostly due to people buying points cards, again, because they want to buy those digital downloads, even not just on phones, but on Xboxes and PlayStations as well. Whereas overall, hardware sales fell if you're talking about consoles. Lego Batman 2, by the way, led software sales. So even that may not sound like a strong title to you, but it is because The Dark Knight's coming out. Diablo 3 was still out. That was number 3. So it wasn't like there was a dearth of good titles out there for you to buy. Couple this with a story that Verizon had that they just rolled out GameTanium, $6 a month access to more than 100 smartphone or 50 tablet games. Now, that's not that big of a category, but if you're the kind of person who spends 99 cents, plays it for a little bit, and then stops, and you're like, God, I want to be able to sample more games, this is the cost of 6 games, and you're got permanent entertainment. You can play as many games as you want as long as they're in this catalog. So the question is, can a game console compete with that device in your hand anymore? Can the Xbox digital downloads and that sort of thing keep people interested? Is Ouya, with their $3 million plus of backing, the future? Or are we moving into a more distributed access? Because remember, Ouya's pitch is that we're giving you those Android games on a game console platform. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the perfect compromise. But Iyaz, what do you think?
I think because of the handheld like craze or just playing on your phone, that's one of the reasons that Microsoft was smart enough to go with Smart Glass. They go, look, we know you're using that device. Why don't we leverage that while we have our old console sitting around? And because Microsoft can't pry that device from your hand, they're going to just integrate it into your experience. And that's the kind of way that if you start playing a game on your Windows phone or on an Android device or iOS device, and you want to experience a richer game, you might be more likely to go, oh, well, maybe I can buy a game on Xbox that takes advantage of that too. So it's that kind of like not a free sample kind of thing, but it's like here's a little taste of something good. You can get it much better with the Xbox 360.
A lot of this kind of reminds me of our discussion about paying a subscription to get a bunch of content rather than maybe paying a cable network another subscription for the channels that they want to give you. This reminds me a lot of, I don't know if I'd call it post-TV era, because I don't think we're there yet. Still need to use the TVs, but kind of this, yeah, you've got a device. How do you want to play your games? Do you want to play games? If so, we want to sell games to you. So I don't think the consoles are over. It's kind of like the, I guess, post-PC. I don't think that PCs are over either. But yeah, specific consoles are in decline because people just want more choices.
I feel like if the major players want to keep their dominance that they currently have with this kind of boutique market and the idea of these blockbuster hits, they definitely need to rev the hardware now to get people excited again, or else smartphones are just going to continue to nip at their heels and then basically turn into a commodity market where everybody kind of expects that 99-cent title. And I feel like Nintendo has the most to lose here.
Yeah, the 3DS sales were not particularly impressive to me. 155,000 3DS consoles sold. They sold 150,000 Nintendo DS as well, so they're almost on parity there. It's not a failure by any stretch, but it's not the kind of huge numbers that Nintendo would be liking to see. So we're seeing a sea change, but I think the positive news for consumers is we're getting more choices, more places to play games. I don't think high-quality games are going to die at all. I think Steam, and they've got a big sale going on that everybody's talking about, is a great way to get those high-quality games still to people and still give them in a way that's convenient. So it may be bad news for certain parts of the video game industry. I think it's good news overall. Let's finish up with Samsung's sales strategy, Iyaz, which everyone always wants to say. Samsung just rips off Apple. What's going on with Samsung stores?
Okay, so I was reading the feeds this morning, and I saw something with pretty much an incendiary headline. Samsung's new North American sales strategy: rip off Apple stores. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll take it. I'll take the link bait. I clicked it, and Boy Genius reports, I think they hit the nail on the head. If Jason, you can run the video. I thought this was a joke, quite honestly. When you look at this, you'll see a store that looks eerily similar to an Apple store. It's all white, and there's these bars on the left and right, and there's people in blue shirts, and you have what looked, I know this doesn't sound biased entirely.
Which is ripping off Best Buy already, by the way.
Yeah, I was about to say, and Best Buy, of course, is already moving to an Apple-designed store, and they already wear the blue shirts.
But isn't Samsung's color blue? Like,
Well,
isn't
you
that
don't
their
want
company
your
color?
employees wearing red shirts because we know what happens to them.
That's right. Ask John Scalzi.
When you start staring at the little demo areas, it's like because the tab looks so much like the iPad and the phone looks somewhat similar, you're like, oh, Apple Store. No, I look. I
don't think this looks like an Apple Store.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, I think it looks similar to how an Apple Store is set up, but like that's not an iPhone. That TV on the wall clearly isn't a big iMac. I
think it just looks like a modern store. I don't
Yeah, I was about to
automatically
say.
think or Apple Store. But
if
that's me.
anything, I mean, nobody says Apple's ripping off Frank Stella or Robert Morris or Bauhaus. It's just minimalism. It's just sleek
Right.
design.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, is this become a standard now? Like, this is what we're going to see when we see electronic stores? Because, I mean, we've talked about Best Buy moving to this kind of model because just having everything on the shelves isn't enough because that's not getting people to buy things. And if you have that buzz going around in your store, because I remember when I was a kid, one of my favorite toy stores was FAO Schwarz because it let you play with the toys. You didn't want to go into the store that you couldn't play with anything. And this, I think, might be the new model for all electronic stores because I've seen the Samsung experience in New York City. And it's not exactly set up for consumers, but it doesn't look anything like this. You can't really mess with this.
Yeah, I say give it 5 years, and all of the stores are just going to look like THX 1138.
Yeah, you're going to be running through, too. You're going to be chased. Let's finish up with a randomizer.
Randomizer.
I would like to write emails with my eyes. I don't want to have to type anymore, and thankfully research and science are helping that. Now, I want to do it for fun, but there's a good purpose to having this technology. If you have a spinal cord injury, if you have a stroke, you can become more self-sufficient. This is something they're actually working on for Stephen Hawking quite a bit, which is how to allow him to continue to communicate with the world. This is some crazy technology where you just eye movements are used to do hard tasks like writing messages, playing Pong, and more. And the best part is they did it with $35 worth of parts.
Now, I get playing Pong because your eyes are going back and forth and you have to be as precise as possible, so there's some challenge there, but it makes sense. Writing emails is a whole different thing because you're constructing thoughts out of nothing. You're not just going right to left. All of that right to left has to be there has to be information added to it that makes a sentence.
This is why we need, the software that's going to allow you to simplify it and just turn all of those emails into kind of like gestures, where really there's only like 3 responses, and you just kind of like look at the meme that most closely identifies to how you feel about it.
I like that.
Are you flipping the table, or is it cool story, bro?
Well, yeah. So if you're tracking the eyes and you do an eye roll, it means thank you for contacting us. We value your feedback. There you go. So it's like text expander or something. So it'll just fill it all out with the macro with your different looks. Like, okay, good. That's what's gonna write.
And it's just certainly not the first eye tracking technology that's been done. I mean, they have systems for on-screen keyboards where you can move the mouse around with your eyes and all of that sort of thing. But it's definitely the cheapest at $35 for sure.
Yeah. Now, where's our $35 glass?
Yeah. Let's check what's on the calendar.
On Sunday, July 14th, Sprint 4G LTE is launching in 5 new cities, 3 of them in Texas: Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, and San Antonio. Woo-hoo. Looking ahead to next week, the Fortune Brainstorm Tech Conference is taking place in Aspen, Colorado, July 16th through the 18th.
What's incoming?
Incoming message.
I kind of knew he was going to say that. We'll start with a voicemail about that Ooh Yeah game console we've been talking about.
Hey, Tech News Today. This is Charlie from Phuket, Thailand. And I just had a little idea about the Ouya $99 Android gaming system. So they're getting crazy money off of Kickstarter, right? I've got a great idea for them to do with some of the extra. You know how Call of Duty is doing their online thing, but only for China? Why not pay them a little bit of money, port it over to the game system? Boom. AAA title, ready to go. Good console, can do it. Bye, guys.
All right. Some people in the chat room are saying that's fantastic. Others are saying it's a horrible idea. I think we're worried about the console being able to play something like Call of Duty, but in concept, I like the idea of big-time games being ported like that.
I think incentivizing the developers, and you can have a program to say, okay, like the first 10 developers get this much money, of the best games get this. If you can run a program like that with the extra money, that probably could help the console a lot, because otherwise, again, the console's great, but if you don't have any games on it, there's no point to it.
Yeah, or just bring back the AAA titles from 10 years ago and, re-release like GoldenEye, for it. I mean, there you go. It's not about graphics, people.
All right, we got an email from Henrik who says, Dear TNT crew, you talked a day or so ago about how Apple's computers no longer comply with the EPEAT certification, and you came to the conclusion that it's all right and the technology might have progressed beyond that standard. Is it really your opinion that technology has progressed to a point where new devices can't be made without gluing batteries in place, and that's an acceptable practice? Interesting that you should ask, Henrik, because I just saw a Twitter post from GWipped linking to a letter from Bob Mansfield on the apple.com website saying that Apple products are back on EPEAT. He says it's important to note that our commitment to protecting the environment has never changed, and today it is as strong as ever. Apple makes the most environmentally responsible products in our industry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We think the IEEE 1680.1 standard could be a much stronger force for protecting the environment if it were upgraded to include advancements like Energy Star and other things that he talks about earlier in the letter. This standard on which the EPEAT rating system is based is an important measuring stick for our industry and its products. So it sounds like Apple doing a rare about-face and saying, all right, we're feeling the pressure from places saying they're not going to buy from us anymore. We're feeling the outrage from environmental groups, and we're going to try to change the standard instead of just abandoning it.
Chris wrote in and said, hey, TNT crew, your story on Amazon seems really plausible. This is, of course, the same day story from yesterday about shipping, considering that they're building a massive distribution center just right up the road from me in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Its location could give same-day or next-day service for a huge area of at least part of the country. With the distribution center set to open this fall, we could be looking at same-day or 2 days for the holiday season throughout the Midwest.
Last email from Mark Vanderberg. He let us know that some Sam's Clubs have the new Google Nexus 7 tablets and are selling them today. He actually sent this in yesterday, so it's already on sale. Google didn't actually say to anybody when it's coming. They said July. And so he sent us a picture, and you can see a box of Nexuses.
Isn't it a little disappointing that people going into brick and mortar can actually pick this up at this point?
I didn't get my pre-order.
Well,
but the pre-orders can't.
Given they have them too.
I think given the Amazon same day or next day delivery, once we all adopt that into our lives, it's the whole concept of even going to the store. We'll lose that skill. Like we've lost the skill to grow our own artichokes and whatnot. It's fascinating.
We have?
Enter door.
Yes. When was the last time you grew artichokes?
Not in a long time.
Okay.
It'll 8 for feet.
I'm very rusty.
It'll stage. Yeah. All right, that's it for this episode of Tech News Today. Thanks to everybody who submits stories on our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com. It's the place to go to let us know what stories you'd like us to cover, either by submitting links or just voting on the links that have been submitted. You can vote something up. You can also vote something down. technewstoday.reddit.com. Thanks to everybody there. Also, if you like a particular part of any of our episodes anytime, submit it to our best of, TNT@twit.tv. Use the subject line best of, and that'll help us put together our show at the end of the year. We're halfway through the year there, so thanks to everybody who's been submitting those. It's very helpful. Darren Kitchen, very excited to have you back every Friday as usual. Tell us what's going on over at Hack 5.
We have an awesome episode of Hack 5 this week. You got to go and check it out. It's a short one. It's really fun. We got T-Mobile sent us 3 of the Samsung Galaxy S3s, or 4 of them, and we went and shot an episode at the top of Mount Tam here in the Bay Area with a Wi-Fi shootout with parabolic antennas. It's really fun to get out of the studio and do a little field trip, so check that one out. Also, real quick, breaking news in regards to the Nexus 7. I just checked my tracking number. It just delivered this morning, so take that, Costco.
There we go.
All right. Now I have hope. I got to go check my tracking as well as soon as I'm done. That's it for this episode of Tech News Today, though. Thanks again to the folks at Skype for letting me use their Airstream trailer and their bandwidth here. It's been great. I've felt a lot more comfortable knowing that I've got solid bandwidth doing the show. So big thanks to them. And I'm using Skype to do the show, too. So it all worked out. Don't forget, we are on the web, twit.tv/TNT. You can email us, TNT@twit.tv, and give us a call. Leave us a voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW. We'll be back Monday with Father Robert Ballister. He'll be in for TNT, and then kicking off the brand new This Week in Enterprise Tech on Monday as well. We'll see you then.